Okay, so painting on a budget. There are some things in here that I am going to just assume you have around your house because I feel like the average household would have those. That may not be applicable to your particular situation. So we are not factoring paper towels into this budget because you probably have some. Next, my Credrufi. I absolutely love this, you guys know, and well, I was given it to review for the channel, which I did, and I absolutely love it. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely check it out. But for you would have to pay for it, so that would have to factor into your budget, so we can't use that today. So what are we using? A cup with water. Water, I'm assuming that you have access to. If you have access to YouTube, so I feel confident in that one. A cup, this is a Reaper cup. I was actually given this free in a Reaper order, so it was like free with purchase kind of thing, but you have your own cups, I'm sure, around your house. Even if you use a glass one, as long as you clean it really fast, the paint won't stick to the glass so much, acrylic paint, so it doesn't even have to be plastic. What do we need next? Okay. Well, my wet palette is something I normally use, but I paid money for that, so we're not using that today. But the dollar store has a palette. This one has been used, but I did get this literally at the dollar store. I can't remember if it was 50 cents or $1, but we're gonna call it $1. Next thing we need is paint. You can't paint without paint. So I have these fantastic Craft Smart paints. They are acrylic, and these go for $1 at my local Michael's or Hobby Lobby or wherever I got these from. I don't even know. There are those red, yellow, and blue. All I need to make all the colors, along with white and black. Now you may be looking at that black bottle going, that wasn't $1. You're right. It was like $1.50 or $2 because it's a much larger bottle. They do sell Craft Smart and even Folk Art for $1 at the store in this size. So we're gonna just pretend it's this size because that's what I have on hand, and I don't feel like running out to the store just to get one bottle of paint to make the point. So we're gonna go with, you get it. We're at 5 and 6 with the palette. All right, then we need a brush. So you guys have seen me use these brushes before on the channel. I get these in bulk from Amazon. So there's 50 in the package, and the package is like $5. So that's 20 cents. And the dollar store has them. So if you can't buy them in bulk, you can get a brush from the dollar store, which actually is a little better quality than this one. But of course, you also pay $1. So your budget on that one would be a little higher than mine. What else do we need? We need a mini local store. And you can see I got this from Writer's Hobby Shop. Good call out for them. I love that store. That's the Writers in Grand Rapids, in case anyone cares. But this is a Reaper figure, Reaper bones. They're known to be a lower price point, and you can see I paid $3.99 for it. I actually get a discount there for the store, so it was a little less than that. And then I also use paint handles, and the paint handles I use most that you see on the channel is melatonin bottles. Anything, you could use aspirin, whatever, it doesn't matter. Once again, we're gonna assume you have one. Doesn't even have to be empty. You can use a full one. I've done it before. It rattles nicely as you use it, and if you don't mind a little noise, those are kind of fun. And you'll notice that I don't have any poster putty or anything on that because that's not a common household item that I wouldn't call it common. So that wouldn't count. We'd have to do that in the budget. So we're gonna get a little creative, and we're gonna try some tape because I'm sure you guys have some kind of tape, or maybe, some Scotch tape. So we'll try one of those and see if we can get that to work on the handle to attach the model so I don't have to hold it. Worst case scenario, I won't be able to use the handle and I'll have to hold it. That is how I think the majority of us started. You don't usually paint your first mini on a handle. You'll learn about the handle later. We're gonna try and do it because I wanna give you the best chance of success, and a handle does make it much easier. So let's get started and see how this all works. Hey, one more thing guys before we get started. I have this really fancy light that I got at Adepticon last year, and it's the Lucent. It's specially designed, Game Envy, absolutely adore it. It was $100. It is miniature painting specific. So guess what guys? That light goes away. We only get to use natural light. Now I do have another light in this room that I can turn on, and actually will, because I'm in a basement where there's the window is completely blocked off because I'm trying to control my lighting for shooting. And with this light off, and no natural light in the room, I may have to rely on more lamps. But again, that puts me in the same situation a newbie or you might find yourself. Painting near a window with natural light coming in will also assist with that. And of course, you can paint just regular house light. It's not as convenient. It doesn't help you see as well as my fancy one does, but it can be done, and that's what we're gonna do. So no pulling the punches on this one. So here we go. Here I'm testing out the tape. It fails miserably at first, but when I used part of the tape that wasn't exposed sitting on my desk for who knows how long, it actually held a bit. It was wobbly, but it worked, for now at least. I always start with the skin tone and face, since it's the focus of the model. That way, if I mess up, I don't have to feel like I wasted all the work I did on everything else, and can ensure the model will look great when it's done. Because I have a limited color palette, I had to mix up a skin tone, and then for the shadow, I just added some black, and the highlights, I added some white. Hey guys, I ran into a little problem here after shooting. You can see I put a shadow tone on her skin, and now I can't get her in focus because of the low light. So you can see I'm playing with different settings, trying to adjust, and she won't come into focus. So I know I said no fancy light, but guys, you aren't going to see a video if I don't use it. So I'm kind of stuck. It's not that I need it. Clearly you can see that I've done it, but you know what? Here, I don't even have my light set up. I have it totally pushed off the way. You can see that, yes, I did do it with low light. It looks very nice. You can still see all of her facial details. So the thicker craft paint did not cover it up. Layering up from the shadow color is the same as usual. I am struggling with the brush a little bit because I'm used to a different one. I typically use a Winsor Newton Series 7 number 2 round, but those go for about $25 each. I find the quality to be worth the price because of how easily they work for my flow, but that's definitely out of the budget for this one. And while I think that brush is great, I always recommend starting with a cheaper brush. That way you can learn good brush care, and once you can make a brush last longer, then you can upgrade to a sable hair brush, because those get very expensive if you don't care for them. You can check out my video on brush care that I'll link at the end. But as you can see here with this cheap one, I'm struggling to keep a fine point, which I'm used to with a better brush. I was not able to film painting this face. I had to hold it so close to me that I could not get the camera between me and the mini. However, Ben will verify that I did it with the cheap brush, and it took forever, but I did it. And it was even more infuriating when, as I moved on to the hair, and accidentally hit some of the face and then had to redo it again. It was so frustrating. If you're stuck with this option or no painting because you can't afford anything else, I would still take painting every single time. I thought it would be best to use my blonde hair recipe to show you that even difficult colors can be mixed if you only have 5 paints. So for the hair color, it was about 3 parts yellow, 2 parts white, and 1 part red. And that gave me a very nice brownish yellow. If you haven't seen my blonde hair video, well, quite frankly, where have you been? Because that is definitely my most watched video. So, but if you haven't, I'll link that one at the end too. Another tip I'd offer for anyone mixing paints is that, especially when you're mixing in darker colors, like when I added black to make the shadows, always use small amounts because it overwhelms the lighter colors really quickly. So don't be looking to do a 50-50 mix on those. You really want just a little bit of black to a lot of mid-tone. The tape did wear off after a while, and I did have to keep changing it. And right about here, I got so fed up with it that I switched to super glue. I would call super glue a standard household item. We always had it in our house growing up. You have to make sure that you use 1 small drop, not a lot, because you don't want it to stick too well. You still want to get the model off the handle when you're done. Now I'm also left without metallic paints because I only have 5. So NMM it is. If you don't know, that's non-metallic metal. I have a video for that. I'm just going to link the playlist, and then you can spend a whole lot of time with me just catching up and watching all those videos. I'm going to insert a special thank you for watching right here, just because, well, you're still watching, and I appreciate that. I kind of figured that I'd probably get called out for cheating if I used any colors as is. So no blue, red, or yellow. So I went with purple. That's simply mixing blue and red. And then, of course, black and white for the shadows and highlights. I kept everything pretty simple compared to the complex mixing for the skin and hair. In my limited color palette video, as well as the global shadow and highlight one, I mentioned how small color schemes help keep the entire model feeling cohesive in the coloring. It can be kind of jarring when you mix cool and warm shadows into one piece, because the shadow should either be, all the shadows should kind of be the same, you know, if they're in the same world. That environment is either going to produce cooler shadows or warmer shadows. And when you have both, it just kind of gives you that off feeling, which can be cool with an artistic piece if that's what you're going for. But I don't recommend it for gameplay or basic painting. Some of you were probably doubting gluing the figure right on the base. But as you see here, simple nail file under the model created a quick solution, and she popped off very easily. And there you have it. Painting on a budget of $10. The best part is, if you bump it up to 20, you can just focus the remaining 10 on minis, since you already have the paint and the palette. You'd probably need a new brush if you're using a cheap one like I did, but you could still make it work, and you get more for your money that way. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it and learned a little something. But now I'd like to challenge you to give any part of this a try, or maybe one of my other challenges that I tackled, like the brushless painting challenge. I encourage you to give it a shot, because it definitely helps you engage your creativity a lot more. And finally, special thank you to my patrons. I really appreciate you being a part of my community and it is so great to see it grow. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, have fun and keep creating.